Hello, and welcome back. In the last episode, we explored why emotions get trapped and how learning to experience them consciously allows their energy to move. Well, today we're going to go deeper into the second essential step on this path, which is training the mind to shift from resistance into acceptance. This is where so much of our energy can get freed because we are working at the root of our suffering, which is within the mind, within our attitude, our thoughts, beliefs, our preferences, and expectations. Most of us have been taught to believe that the source of our happiness, our safety, and our power is out there, out in the world, out in circumstances, out in other people, out in approval, and out in getting what we want and avoiding what we don't want. So enormous amounts of energy get spent trying to manage the external world. We're trying to control how people behave. We're trying to make life match our preferences. We're trying to avoid what we don't want to feel, right? Trying to make reality different than it is exhausting. And it keeps us disconnected from the real source of our power, which is in here. This is why self-regulation is so important and life-changing. Because when we begin to master our inner world, we stop wasting so much energy on resistance, suppression, and external chasing. We begin reclaiming that energy, and then we can use it for far more constructive things like healing the body, soothing our nervous system, opening our heart, and raising our consciousness. And that is where the magic really starts to happen. Because as we become more skilled at allowing energy to move through us, rather than getting trapped inside us, we begin to feel more alive, more peaceful, more present, more clear, and more powerful. Why? Because instead of constantly getting blocked and distorted in our lower three energy centers or chakras, the energy is finally able to move back up into the heart and the higher energy centers. And because that energy is us, this upward flow changes everything. You can feel the difference. And it may seem like the world has changed, but what has really changed is your inner state. Your energy has shifted. Your perception has shifted. As this energy begins to move upward through the heart, the throat, the head, and the higher centers, our experience of life can begin to change. We may feel clearer, more spacious, more intuitive, more connected, more able to respond from awareness instead of reacting from those old survival patterns. And when we're stuck in survival mode with energy mostly bound in those lower centers, it can be very difficult to imagine how different life can feel when that energy begins to flow upward again. But once you experience even a small shift for yourself, you'll begin to understand and you will feel the difference. And that is why this work is so worth practicing. So keep coming back to your intention for peace, because this journey is not about trying to feel better by adding something from the outside. It's really about coming back to our center and stepping into our full power as a spiritual being. And this is where acceptance becomes really important. Because acceptance is often misunderstood. Acceptance doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It doesn't mean blindly tolerating what is unhealthy or harmful, right? Acceptance simply means dropping our inner resistance to what is already here. It means no longer wasting energy arguing internally with reality. Because when we find ourselves in a challenging situation, there are really only three sane options. Number one, we can change the situation. Number two, we can remove ourselves from it. Or if neither of those is possible in that moment, then number three, we can fully accept it. And ironically, that last option is often the one that people resist the most. But acceptance is powerful because when we stop fighting reality internally, we conserve so much energy. We come out of emotional reactivity, we regain clarity, and it's from that clearer, more regulated state that we are far more capable of making a wise decision about how to deal with the external situation. Okay? So acceptance is not surrendering our power, it is reclaiming it. Resistance drains us, acceptance restores us. And this applies on every level. When we resist bodily sensations, we suffer more. When we resist emotions, they get trapped. When we resist thoughts, we get tangled in them. When we resist situations that we can't immediately change, we waste enormous amounts of energy fighting reality internally. But every single time we drop that inner resistance and open to something greater, we step into more of our true power. And this is one of the deepest truths on the path. Because life is not just happening to us, it's happening for us. In many ways, life is designed to help us evolve. Every moment of discomfort is showing us something important. Every contraction is revealing where we're still holding on. Every reaction is pointing toward a place where more healing, more awareness, and more freedom are possible. And as we progress on this journey, we begin to see that many of our emotional reactions don't actually begin in the present moment. Very often, they originate somewhere in our past, in something we didn't have the capacity to fully feel, to understand or process at the time. So every minute of every day, life is showing us where our blockages, distortions, and trapped emotional energy still live. And the question is, do we want to keep protecting and projecting those old patterns? Or do we want to release them so our energy can flow again? That is where letting go begins. To breathe, to feel and release again and again. Not by forcing ourselves to be positive, not by pretending we're fine, not by spiritually bypassing what hurts, but by being willing to meet what's here with courage, with presence, with honesty, with compassion. So when discomfort arises, the practice is so simple. Not easy, but simple. We pause, we breathe, we tune into the body, we feel, we allow that emotion to move, and gently we return to the present moment. This is how we begin to stop feeding those old patterns. This is how our mind becomes kinder. This is how our nervous system begins to feel safer. And this is how energy starts to move again, little by little. Also, this is why supportive routines matter so much on this path. Breath work, meditation, grounding, movement, awareness of thoughts and bodily discomfort, a nourishing physical, mental, and emotional diet, a strong support system, and a clear intention. All of these help create an inner environment where the mind can become kinder, the body can feel safer, and energy can move freely. So for now, this is what I want you to remember. Suffering is created by an inner chain reaction that starts with a single thought. Discomfort is often the sign of resistance. Thoughts are not facts, emotions are feedback. Acceptance is not weakness, and freedom begins when we stop resisting our experience and learn to feel it consciously. So this week, keep practicing your deep belly breathing and also the central channel breathing we went over a few videos ago. When you notice discomfort, as always, pause, breathe, and ask, what am I resisting right now? Then breathe again. And you don't have to solve your whole life in that moment. You're simply training your system to stop fighting what is already here. And every time you do that, little by little, you're reclaiming a little bit more of your energy. Next time, we'll bring the whole journey together and look at the full path from struggle to flow. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you feel like it. And as always, you can find me at consciousliving.solutions.com. All my books are available on Amazon and also through Ingram Spark. Thank you so much for being here, for going through this, for doing the work, for showing up. And I look forward to seeing you next time for the final episode. Peace.